Hi, I'm Marcus, and you're listening to Business Spirit. I run a six-figure mentoring business, and I'm scaling it to 1 million without ads or cold DMs or any other bullshit. On this podcast, I share my everyday life, the behind the scenes, my identity shifts, my energy, manifestation, and all the other stuff no one really wants to talk about. So glad that you're here. So let's go. Well. I mean, time is flying, and I'm not sure whether you're just hearing the podcast. I mean, your most favorite podcast, or whether you're seeing it on YouTube or on Spotify. Because on Spotify you can also see it, right? But if you see it, I mean, you will also recognize that I have some dark lines underneath my eyes, and I have to say I'm really tired today. For let's say a very good reasons. So a couple of them. One thing, I mean, the last days, I mean, we're so busy because there was so much going on behind the scenes. Really deep sessions with my clients. I think I said it already yesterday or the day before on Instagram. About a really deep session with a client of mine, and today we had another session together. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing, and I will actually come back to that in a minute, because everything what was happening behind the scenes is leading to one and the same question. And this is the question, I mean, I'm asking myself all the time, but more importantly, I do see this with my customers all the time, which is the reason for being successful, for becoming successful, and holding the success. And that is simply momentum. So, how do you create momentum in your business? How to keep momentum in your business, and what to do if the momentum, well, is in the moment not there. And that is such a fascinating idea, because you have to, or you can look at it from various different angles. And throughout the past years, I have learned a lot about how to keep momentum, how to build it up again. What is actually the reason for not keeping the momentum? And that is so fascinating to see on my own, but also with my customers, and how to trigger that. So if you're up for a really interesting session about momentum, then this is your episode today, I can promise. As I said, well, I do have some dark lines below the eyes. And this is something, to be honest with you, when I started with the whole coaching business, I was coming from an angle where maybe you can relate to that. I wanted to have a different business, a different kind of business, wanted to do something else, want to create more impact, wanted to really something which is aligned with my soul's purpose, and where I really feel that energy. And yes, I'm definitely doing this. So I love working with my clients. Sometimes it goes really deep. Like today, I spent with my one-on-one client 2.5 hours actually, because we needed to crack something down. And yeah, I have to say, I'm after that session, and on one hand, really excited, because I did see that transformation. I did see it in her eyes. I mean, the glimpse, the shining, or no, not the shining, but that her eyes were shining. That she really got it, what she wanted to do, and where to start, and how to continue, even if the circumstances are not right. And yeah, I said, when I started, I wanted to have an easy business. And this is also an easy business in freedom and not hustling anymore, because I was coming, of course, from a hustling world. And the idea of not wanting to hustle, but at the same time creating momentum, well, is something, from my perspective, in my world, a bit contradictory. This doesn't mean that you have to work on stuff which isn't meant for you. But in order to create momentum, you have to continue doing the stuff which is necessary to create the success you want. And there, There's one big lesson I really had to learn the hard way, which is how to deal with impatience, right? And I'm not sure how it is with at your end, but I'm really, really impatient when it comes for my own success. So I want to have it now. I can't wait. I do not want to wait, I mean, a month, 2 months or something to really create results. I'm always thinking about, okay, can I do to make some shortcuts? What can I do to get things faster? And yeah, I know that sometimes you just have to wait. I mean, we all know, or maybe you know, this Chinese proverb, or is it Chinese or Indian? I don't know. Well, but I mean, the rice is not growing faster if you're pulling the rice, right? I'm not sure whether the proverb is really announced, but you know what I mean, right? I mean, something is not growing faster the more you pull, right? Or put pressure on it, right? Some things do take its time, and the same thing is also with social media, right? Is that, I mean, whatever you're doing right now, you will see the results not today, but maybe in 3 weeks' time, in 4 weeks' time, in 6 weeks' time, in 12 weeks' time, or in half a year, depending on how much you're doing, how much you're showing up, how much you're really in in the game of presenting yourself. But it's not that you do something, you post something, and you will immediately get what you want. So getting the money, getting the clients. So impatience is something we have to be aware of. And what keeps us from holding the momentum is then when we start doing things in the hope of and in the belief of that in the future we will reach something, and that we know, yes, I mean, those little things, I mean, will add up and we will get the clients and we will get the results. That eventually, I mean, if you stick to it, you will of course get the results. You will of course get clients. And it feels great in the moment. And we think there's that now finally we have sorted it out. Finally, we have cracked the algorithm. Finally, we have managed and how to really magically create customers. The thing is, what you then forget in this moment is that your result, which you're now experiencing, was born a couple of weeks ago, was born maybe half a year ago, because what you did 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago. So we tend to forget that there was a preparation time. All what we experience then at that moment when everything is working out, that it feels great. And this is the moment where you have to stick to that momentum, where you have to use the magic to create more. What most of us do, and what I did in the past always, is to have that feeling, well, finally I made it, and now I need to rest. Now I can slow down because I finally figured out how it works. And this is the trick here. Knowing that whatever you're doing today, right, has an impact, or its impact or its results will be seen 3 weeks, 12 weeks, half a year from now. So in the moment when you are having that feeling of flow, if you slow down, then it will have an impact in the future. So it is then that after you have had the idea of finally I made it, things will slow down. Money is not coming in as you were expecting, and the clients weren't showing up as you wanted. And then you are back at square one. And then you have to do really, really hard work again, but from a point of view where still the results will be seen maybe in half year's time. So what you're actually doing in your business, you're going up and down. This is the roller coaster. And I'm not talking about the emotional roller coaster, which comes on top of that. But I'm talking about the business side of the roller coaster. So money coming in, money is not coming in, money is coming in, money is not coming in. And if you continue to do like that, then it's really frustrating. Because at one point, I mean, you really have to hustle, you really have to do more than you wanted to do, and it really feels hard. And then once you get the results, you tell yourself, oh, finally I made it, and now I need to rest. Whereas thinking about it, and this is what I learned, is that you have to keep the momentum, even when everything is running like a piece of cake. And especially when everything is running like a piece of cake, when customers are coming in and when money is flying in. Because this is then the magic moment with a positive energy out of which you can create new stuff. So what I would like you to think about is, how is it in your business? I mean, do you have a constant flow? Do you know where money is coming in on a regular basis? Or does your business go up and down from time to time? And if so, maybe it's because of this pattern. So what if momentum wouldn't mean that you have to give full power all the time? Like a bird cannot fly all the time. A bird, I mean, is using his wings, right? And sometimes it's just gliding, right, without using his wings. And sometimes the bird also has to rest and sit on a tree, but not in the moment where he's completely exhausted, where he is almost dying, and where he's almost not capable of finding a spot where to sit, but at a point where it feels okay to have a small rest, to create some energy for the next move. And the question is then, for you in your business, when is it then the best time for you to rest? Is it in the moment when money is coming in, where everything is running like magic, where you are full of power, when you have the feeling that you finally understood how things are going? Or is it when you are in a working mode, in the preparation of maybe the next launch, that you can slow down a bit before your work load increases before the next launch? So that you really think about, okay, when is it the best time for you to take a rest, to take a day off, to not do anything? And what I have learned is that the worst day to take a day off is really when everything is working. Right? Because that is a pattern full of self-sabotage. Because I reckoned and I realized that this pattern is more or less for me used to show myself that yes, once I got it, I really need to fall down back to the earth just to demonstrate myself I can do it again and again and again. So it's not that I'm raising, so I'm not constantly increasing my level. It is more or less holding it. And that was a pattern I had to realize I needed to change. Why am I saying this? Why am I thinking about this? Why am I recording this episode, which really goes down deep down, and also showing you, okay, my thinking of this and how I experience that? It is because of that client of mine, which I'm coaching right now, and she has bought a small one-on-one package for a month, and she's having the same issue. I mean, she's a mother of two, and her husband is not really supporting her business, so she's fighting at various different angles, and very different frontiers, I would say. So she's fighting against her husband because he's not supporting her. She has two little kids, 8 and 10. At the same time, she's feeling the enormous passion to build something big, while being overwhelmed. And then when she's trying to do something in her business, the everyday life kicks in. So she's going up and down with her energy, and her energy is then also leading how the business is going. So we were working on how to really set up her day in such a way that she uses her energy in a very good mood. So instead of what usually a lot of people are doing in the morning is to meditate, I mean, to journal, to read a book. I mean, we have all seen and learned about this miracle morning. Um, that we said, okay, in the morning when you have free time for yourself, I mean, your husband is doing his stuff because his husband is also during the week not at home, and the kids are still sleeping, that you use the time when the kids are not there to really work on your business, to prioritize one task you focus on, and then work on that task for 90 minutes until your kids have to get up. And in this way, you're using the morning energy when everything is quiet. You focus on one thing, and you, on a day by day basis and step by step, improve your business, knowing that whatever you're doing now will show up maybe in 3 weeks, maybe in 6 weeks, maybe in 12 weeks, or half a year from now, but it will show up as long as you stick to working on your business on a daily basis. And that's all she needed to concentrate on. The real tricky part then came in when she said, okay, but what is the one thing I have to focus on? And that is something we will continue to work on Monday. But as a general rule, the thing you have to focus on is not that you have to say no to things you don't want to do, right? That you really have to watch out and put aside, I mean, your day-to-day things, and which is not really creating money or is not creating really an impact in your business, and you don't want to do anyway. So this is not for the 90 minutes focus work in the morning. It is, you have to decide on a weekly basis, what is the one thing I want to work on in this week, which really moves the needle one step further. And this might very well be that you want to do 3 or 4 things at the same time, and I'm saying you can't do 3 or 4 things at the same time. You have to focus on one thing. So the focus is really in this 90 minutes where you have full of energy to only concentrate on the main thing, which has the potential to have a ripple effect on all the other things you wanted to do. And this is something we will dive deeper into on Monday. But I just wanted to give you this idea of, first of all, rethinking your pattern in your business on whether you do think you need a rest once everything is working fine, only to realize that after a certain period of time, you are back at square one. So that you have to rethink your pattern there. Work. I mean, if your energy is high, do the work which brings your business further on the next level. So you have to increase your status quo so that, yeah, once you have identified the thing you wanted to do, you can slow down a bit, but you don't have to rest. You don't have to stop the momentum, but keep going. So that you don't have, or that your business is not stopping the hard way. So that's one thing. And the other thing is really that you have to identify the one thing you have to do on a repetitive basis, on a daily basis, which really has an impact on your business. Maybe it's creating social media, maybe it's connecting to people, maybe it's, I don't know, what your business is, but you have to find that one thing you spend your time on when you really have time to focus on. So, having said that, I'm actually back to packaging my suitcase now because tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock we're flying and we're dashing off to the island of Rhodes to have some vacation for a couple of days. So the next episode will actually be recorded from a small flat in the old town of Rhodes, which we have rented. So I'm really looking forward to that. And until then, enjoy the time and enjoy the moment and work on your business. See ya.